we now have 4 short presentations, and they're going to be on the general theme around our home and the environment, and I suppose moving much more to the kind of the domestic setting. First up is David Fenton. He's going to talk about radon in homes in Ireland. And David is an EPA person, of course, and he has over 30 years experience in radiation protection. And he started as a medical physicist and his huge involvement in that as an inspector as well for radioactive substances and X-ray equipment in Ireland. But he's worked in radon and natural radioactivity now for over 20 years, and he's been very involved as well in guiding Ireland's national radon control strategy. So David, it's over to you.
Thanks very much,
Thanks,
David. Thank you. Is this thing working? It is, yeah, okay. Okay, folks, it's great to see you. And over the next, the clock hasn't started yet, so over the next 10 minutes or thereabouts, I'm going to talk to you about a carcinogen that's present in everybody's house. It's present there without them knowing about it. And if you think about it, there's not that many carcinogens. This is a known group 1 carcinogen that's present in everybody's house, but it's there. It's in this room at the moment. And it's for people online, it's in your offices as well, or wherever you are. Wherever you get air, you're going to get radon. And the issue is, what you're going to learn about over the next 9.5 minutes, is that it's linked to the geology and it's linked to certain properties that, that you need to know about. So, radon is a known cause of lung cancer that's present in everybody's house. And if you like, we're talking about the intersection of radiation protection, environmental protection, and public health. This thing goes on in everybody's house every day, as the case may be, this intersection. Somebody mentioned Venn diagrams earlier. And the properties of radon are such that it's easy to ignore it. It has no colour, taste or smell. Your senses are blind to it. So it's a noble gas that's chemically inert. And it's the radioactive properties that makes it a bit dodgy. And from our research that we've done, we predict there's 170,000 houses in Ireland with high levels of radon. And the occupants of those houses are receiving high radiation doses, which I might get onto shortly. So some 470,000 people are being exposed to high indoor radon levels. And exposure to radon in Ireland is linked to some 350 lung cancer cases each year. So Monday, as you might have heard in the radio, if you're looking at our Twitter feed, was International Radon Day. And for our part in the EPA, we mark this every year with, we're currently running about 150 radio ads in local and national radio aimed at encouraging people to test for radon. And we're also supplementing that with social media posts. So you might have heard it there. And, well, if you do, you can take action upon it. And this is on foot of huge publicity that Laura Burke referred to earlier when it comes to our radon map that we launched earlier this year, where we had over 80-something thousand hits to the website. And it crashed the website temporarily, but it got it up back in place again. And our radon map was launched. And I'm going to come on to that map in a few minutes, and then I'll have a proper chat about it to you. So let's look at what radon is. It's a radioactive gas that's produced in the ground. It's naturally occurring, and it's seeping out of the ground all the time. And it accumulates sometimes to unacceptably high concentrations, and that happens quite a lot. And it comes from the radioactive decay of a metal called uranium, which gives rise to radium, which gives rise to radon as a gas. The two metals stay in the ground, but the gas gets out, and it's naturally occurring. Now, Ireland has a particular problem with radon. This particular graph here was generated by the World Health Organization, published in 2009. And you can see Ireland at the time was about, it's up in the top corner, it's about 30 countries. So we had an average level of radon of 89 units of radon. That was measured in 2002. It's subsequently come down to about 77. Our nearest neighbour, the UK, has a level of 21. So you can see that Ireland has a particular problem with radon, and that needs to be addressed. So where in the country is it? Our map predicts that a third of the country will have high radon areas. In the map here, you can see the high radon areas are depicted in red. So they're the areas where you're most at risk from radon. And we predict maybe 1 in 5 houses in those areas will have high levels of radon in them. And if you have any sense, you're all looking to where you live and see where you are in relation to the red area. And if you're in the red area, there's probably a little voice going in the back of your head, God, I must check that out. Well, check it out, and maybe because you really need to do it. We have a really fancy interactive radon map on our website. You can go onto it now shortly, or even now if you want to. And it goes down to a resolution of 50 metres. So it'll go down to street level to tell you exactly where you are in relation to the high levels of radon. So when is radon a problem? We have two reference levels, if you like. The homes was set in by the government in 1990 at 200 units of radon, becquerels per cubic metre. Schools the same, 200 units of radon. Now, that's a voluntary reference level. The statutory reference level is 300, and that's implemented by SI 30 of 2019. So if you have two figures here now you want to come away with today, it's 200 and 300. If you're below that, then you're probably okay after you check it out, and the average level is 77. So radon gets in really through tracks and fissures that's present in all buildings, up through services, up through around services like radiators or even cabling or so on. And it gets in because the pressure differences, because your building is warmer inside than it is outside, and that draws in air, and also the weather conditions can vary the flow of radon into a house. So a building or a house acts like a vacuum cleaner, sucking up gas from the ground. So in the same way, sometimes you might be at home and the sun is coming in the window and you can see all these dust particles. You do in my place anyway. These dust particles floating around. That stuff is heavier in air, and radon is heavier in air. And the same forces that's causing your dust to float around the place is causing the radon to come in, and it will come in if unless you do something about it. So as I say, how big is the problem? The average level of radon in Ireland is 77. The highest concentration we found is 49,000 units of radon. That was in a house in Castle Island in North Kerry. And it's like when I said there's 350 lung cancer cases linked to radon. In this particular house, there was 2 lung cancer cases. Both, unfortunately, ended up with people dying. And it's like as if when you have 350, that's a statistic. But when you actually get numbers and people, it brings it right down to individuals. That these people were, if you like, well, I suppose the radon contributed to their lung cancer for sure. And it was somewhere in their medical treatment of the lung cancer that one of the doctors that was treating them said it was so unusual for 2 non-smokers living in the same house to have levels of the lung cancer. You need to get your radon checked out. And he got his radon checked out, and he got 49,000 units of radon. And the guy was superb. He's gone now, unfortunately, but I said, look, we're going to have to do something, you guys, getting publicity and so on. He said, whatever you have to do, go for it. And we studied 4 scientific papers out the stuff in Castle Island. We had public meetings and all that, and he put his hand up to help his neighbours in Castle Island. And he's a hero, really, in my opinion. I can say that about him. But anyway, about 170,000 houses are like the one in Castle Island, for all we know, with high levels of radon, but less than 10,000 of them have been identified. That's just the truth of it. So there's a long way to go with it. So as I say, it's the second biggest cause of lung cancer after smoking, and it's the #1 cause of lung cancer among non-smokers, if you like. But smoking is smoking is a huge co-founder with radon, and the risk is more present to people who have smoked or ex-smokers, if you like. So we have, say, the highest risk is of smokers who have high levels of radon, and then if you don't smoke with little levels of radon, that's the least risk. So you sort of have a 4-scale health system as regards assessing the individual's risk from radon. But the good news is that radon is easy to measure and it's easy to fix. And the way it is, I have to rattle on here because I can see the clock, which is superb, by the way, but I have to rattle along here. 2 small radon detectors can be posted to a house. So these things are about the size of a biscuit. They're posted out to your house. You put one in the bedroom, one in the living room. You leave it there for 3 months. You leave it there for 3 months because, as I said, the flow of radon into a house is varied with the weather. So you need a good representative time period in order to measure what the radon levels are. And it costs about €50. You post it back. And we have a list of registered radon measurement services on our website, radon.ie. Radon.ie. We have a list of registered measurements. It's a superb website on radon. And if you do have high levels of radon, then the fixes are easy as well. It could just be as simple as improving the ventilation in your house, like unblocking vents or opening vents. Some people block up vents because maybe it was drafty or something like that. It's not a good thing to do. You need ventilation. And if you have higher levels of radon, then you need to introduce this thing called a radon sump, which is a device that, if you mentioned that the pressure difference is what's the reason why it gets in. What the sump does, it interrupts that pressure difference and it vents it out before it gets in safely out to the sump outside. And these things don't look that obtrusive. They're sort of like, like electric fan. They look like an extra drain pipe up a wall. And it's quite a simple and easy thing to get done. Get a guy out to do that for you, it costs about €1,000 or something like that. But I say to people, if you have high levels of radon that warrants a sump, you really need to get it done. The building regs, of course, have radon preventive measures in place. So you have a radon barrier, which stops the whole thing getting in theory. And then it also requires for these sumps to be put in place. And that's been in place since 1998. So, the barriers, when they're laid right, are really excellent. You can see there, the good, lovely detailing around it, that you have radon barriers in place, and that'll keep it out all right if it's been put in place. But unfortunately, sometimes this membrane has been punctured by a stone. This membrane has been used as a work surface, and you can see here there's a hole punctured by some fella putting the tripod in with the best will in the world. And so what goes on inside can actually do something to the membrane, and it's for that reason you need to test for radon, irrespective of whether you're in a new house or not. Test for radon. It's the only way of knowing if you're safe from the gas. So what has been done about it? There is a national radon control strategy in place, a government-led strategy that's led by the Department of Environment, Climate and Communications. There's current strategies from 2019 to 24. I lead up on that with my colleagues Alison and in the EPA. We have a new radon risk map for Ireland. We've registered radon measurement services, registered remediation services, building regs and radon prevention. There's workplaces. We work closely with the HSA when it comes to radon in workplaces. We have radon awareness campaigns like we have this week. We have National Radon Forum. We go to public events like the National Ploughing Championship to get the message out there. We do a lot of stuff, and also we fund research in it. And so the key messages from today, guys, because I'm out of time and I'm just going to finish with these little captions, and I'll now tell you what those captions mean. First of all, prolonged exposure to radon can cause lung cancer. It's a group 1 carcinogen, a known carcinogen among humans. Radon levels can be easy to measure. Radon levels can be easy to reduce, and it's a problem only if you ignore it. Thanks very much. Thanks. Thanks, David.